And welcome, house guests, to the House of Middlescence, the place where we celebrate this time in life. We celebrate living 40, 50, 60 plus, all things that comes with it. But also, we talk about things like caregiving, which we'll talk about today. So we do talk about some of the other things that we deal with in this beautiful time of life, because as a pro-age speaker, I actually consider this a beautiful time in life. Listen, we've got all this experience behind us and a lot more ahead of us. 42% of women over 50 are caregivers today in America. That's right. And most provide 20 plus hours of caregiving a week on top of all of the responsibilities that we have. We have work, we have kids, we have dogs that you see running back and forth. We have, you know what, we're doing it all, especially as women. We are doing it all. But can you imagine, on top of all of those responsibilities, and I just touched on just a few, can you imagine also having to caregive for your loved one? And caregiving really is both sides of the spectrum. It's your kids, but we're talking about family caregiving for our loved ones who are, like mine, in a living care or in an assisted living home. We're going to provide you with a couple of tools and resources. I have two phenomenal ladies with me today because, listen, you may have your life planned out. You may not have your life planned out, even still. You may be still trying to figure out what you want to do when you grow up. But regardless, when you get the crisis call, that's what they call it, the crisis call, because someone has fallen and literally couldn't get up, your life changes. There's also people that I know, that you know, where their parents are living with dementia. And they may be in the beginning stages. They may be in the later stages of dementia. However, what I'm saying is caregiving, it's a lot. So whether you're getting the crisis call and your life changes, or your life is changing now and has been, the journey has been changing for quite some time, we're talking about it. But listen, if you have not made plans, if you don't think this is going to be you one day, or you one day, meaning you needing the caregiver, or you having to caregive for a loved one because your parents are completely healthy, you just never know. You need to plan ahead. So we're talking about being in it, the realities of you might be in it in the future, whether it's yourself or someone else, and what you could do to prepare. So grab a cup of Joe, grab a cup. Listen, I've got a smoothie. I know that looks nasty, but I'm a smoothie girl. I'm a morning smoothie girl. That's got some bananas and strawberries and chocolate and all the things in there. But grab a cup of Joe, pull up a chair, and let's talk about caregiving. We are pulling back the curtains on caregiving. And why caregiving today in November? Because it is National Family Caregiver Awareness Month. That's right. I'm Barbara Brooks. I am the homeowner of the House of Middlescence. So here we go. I am going to introduce to you Miss Nadine Cornish. Hi, Nadine.
Hello, Barbara. Good morning. Thank you. I'm so happy to be in your beautiful home today.
Oh, thank you. Right, with the dog and everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
And next, I'm welcoming the state director of AARP of the beautiful state of Colorado. This is Sarah. Sarah, welcome to the show.
Good morning. I'm so excited to be here. This is fantastic. I look forward to the discussion.
Let's talk about caregiving. But before we do that, I'm hot flashing already. I got to turn my heater down. Can you guys share a little bit more about how it is you're involved in caregiving? Let's start with you, Sarah. Share a little bit about what you do. And yeah. I think people can tell from your accent you're not a Coloradan.
Oh, my goodness. I'm originally from North Carolina. And I'll tell you two things. So first of all, I just finished a caregiving journey with my mother over the last year. And to your point, 50-year-old woman, right? I have a 12-year-old at home and caring full time for my mother as well. So I really have such deep personal experience in this and all that comes along with getting a call that, I need support, to end of life care. But also professionally at AARP, we have prioritized caregiving as a really important issue that we're focusing on. It's one of our top 3 because so many of us are going through caregiving journeys in our lifetime, and we believe that this is an important issue that we need to support in a lot of different levels. So we can talk more about that as we get going, but excited to be here and have a further discussion about it.
Well, thank you for being here. And I'm going to dive into how it is you even got into becoming a part of AARP as well a little later on. Nadine, you and I go back, I think really when I started Second Act Women. We've had you at more than a few, I believe, conferences to talk to our ladies because of your own personal experience. And I shed a tear the other day when you and I were talking at that event that I read into at, because I didn't understand, and I want you to share your story. I didn't understand when you were sharing with our audience of women your journey, your caregiving journey. At the time, I just thought, oh, this is going to be great information for our ladies. And then fast forward to 2023, here it was March 17th, and I received a crisis call. So I shed a tear because I totally understood now where you were coming from. So please introduce yourself and share what you do, and then we'll dive into your story a little bit into the show.
Barb, thank you so much for having me. I am Nadine Cornish. I'm founder of the Caregiver's Guardian, a support services organization for family caregivers. And I always say this work chose me. I did not choose it. As Barb mentioned, it was my own personal experience, just like Sarah, just like so many of us. Our personal experience, this changes your life. Whatever it is that you have planned, whatever you thought was going to happen. My background was in public health. I was living my good life. And all of a sudden, I get the crisis call and everything changed. And my caregiving journey made me realize that there were so many people that didn't know how to access resources, that didn't understand this process, that didn't understand that this journey is literally designed to change who you are. And we spend so much time as caregivers resisting that. And so I said yes to this assignment of caring for my mom. I said yes to the assignment of founding the Caregiver's Guardian and supporting family caregivers across the country. And I've now recently said yes to including kids in this equation and supporting children who are literally shouldering the adult responsibility of caregiving.
Wow. How often do you run into that? Because, we both know Kelly O'Connor, and I know she was in her 20s when she lost both of her parents. And that's how she ended up in this industry since then. And so explain that part. Just curious.
We've got about 6 million. We've got about 6 million children in the United States that are caring for a parent, a grandparent, a special needs sibling. They are shouldering that very adult responsibility that we're talking about today. And of course, with it being National Family Caregivers Month, I can't talk about caregiving without making sure that we are also remembering that we've got kids who literally are shouldering this responsibility as well.
And you brought something up, and Sarah, let's talk about the reality of caregiving today from both of your perspectives, because I think when it comes to caregiving, we do just think a 90-year-old parent. It could easily be today your 60-year-old parent, your 70. But then, as you said, it could be a 45-year-old who has a child living with disabilities. It could be a 35-year-old whose mom, or dad or a person has, it's all over. So when we think about caregiving, we actually don't think of it's a life. It could be at any stage. What's the reality of caregiving today?
Well, AARP has done some research. We put out a report every other year called Caregiving in the U.S. And it's a very comprehensive overview of what do caregivers look like, right? What are they facing? What are the demographics of them? And I would say 50% of caregivers are caring for a parent. And the average age of a care recipient is 64. The majority of caregivers are women, probably not surprising, but I think it's about 65%. But you know what? The bulk, and this is interesting that you were bringing this up, Nadine, the bulk of caregivers are between 35 and 65, 78%, right? So these are people who are working adults trying to juggle life and caring for a loved one, right? That is hard. It is hard work. And
Yes.
there's financial implications behind all of that. There is the time that we spend, that I think it's 25% of caregivers are spending more than 40 hours a week caring for a loved one, right? So this is really it's a lot to take on. And I think probably if you ask Nadine, I know you would say the same thing, Barbara. I would say I didn't think twice. Yes, I'm going to care for you. You are my loved one. This is what I want to do. And I think most caregivers would say that, but it's hard. It's really hard to juggle.
Really.
Yeah,
it really is. And that leads me to ask, what do people not understand about caregiving until they're in it? Because again, I listened to you, Nadine, at the conference that I was hosting, but I was not really heeding your advice and heeding the tools and the resources, because I'm thinking, like probably most of us that have healthy parents, we just assume those healthy parents are going to be the Carol Burnett's, the Rita Morenos, the Betty Whites, and they're going to be living out their lives, still gardening, still doing life. My mom was still driving her little sports car until literally a week before the stroke. So we don't realize, I think, we don't understand it till we're in it. So how can we place some more realities on it so people can really start thinking about this?
So the first suggestion that I have for everybody is just simply open your eyes and look around you. If you just look around you, there are friends, there are coworkers, there are colleagues who are literally living this experience day in and day out. And we don't think that it's going to happen to us. We think it's the others, right? That, oh, just like you said, Barbara, she's driving her sports car. She's doing great. And nothing changes until life changes. For some of us, it's overnight, literally. For others of us, it's a gradual decline that we are refusing to see. Open your eyes, look around, pay attention, have the conversations, have the tough conversations. Your message earlier, Barbara, about being prepared, doing the necessary planning is so essential. If we keep living, life is going to happen. Right. The hope is that we don't experience that we don't experience the worst, but if we're prepared for what might happen, we're better equipped and we're not so caught off guard. And we also have to acknowledge that once we're in the caregiving journey, everything changes. We change. Our loved one changes. We cannot be the same going into this experience and expect to be the same coming out. This journey is designed to change who you are.
That is such a powerful statement. And with that, because you've gone through this, can the two of you share your experiences if you're willing? Because I think it puts more heart into what we're trying to say. That one day, for me, one day was, I'll share mine really quick, is that one day, life is lifing in a good way, not in a bad way. Life is just, going about. And then Friday afternoon, my brother calls and says, Mom is on the ground, and called and said she can't get up. And it was literally that can't get up. And then she had been on the floor for a whole day because my mom is your Texas strong alpha female who in her head, when she was on the ground the day before, in her head, she's thinking she's going to be fine in a couple of hours. She's going to be fine the next day. And she was not. And so that was a day our lives changed.
Right.
And our new journey began. And, and just the ride from Denver to Colorado Springs and wondering, is she going to be alive? Is she, just all the things. And then you're in it. You don't know, as you said at the beginning, and we'll talk about this a little later on, all the things that we should have prepared for in advance. We had prepared for we did the will talk 2 months before, but what we didn't do was talk about the rest of it. Exactly. And so, as you said, it will change you completely. And to just say, my mother is still with us. She is partially paralyzed. She's gotten some of her movement back. We did have to sell our childhood home of 50 years. 50 years, and that was hard in itself. Nice. I have some of her silver, but it's all things. And so we moved her up here to Denver. I'm very blessed, very lucky that my mom said, "I will. You and Keith do it all. You tell me where you want to go." We let her make her decisions, and she wanted to come be with me up in Denver versus down. So I'm lucky because I understand. You tell me what your stories are, but I hear from people that their parents don't even want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about it as if they're not going to die one day. And yes, I just
exactly.
Right? Yes. Harder on the family. So please share your stories, ladies, about your journeys.
Okay.
Sure. I'll jump in. So I had been trying to convince my mom to move closer to me, or my brother, one of the kids. She lived in North Carolina, and we were a plane ride, a 5-hour car ride away, right? But she's active and engaged and just, living independently, but, as in her 70s. And one day she was just having a really hard time breathing, and it just kept getting worse and worse. And she does have asthma. So she kind of chalked it up to, my asthma's really bad. And finally I convinced my brother. I was like, I think you need to go down there and see what's going on. This is more than just her asthma. And he ended up taking her to the emergency room. And within a day, she was diagnosed with lung cancer. Also just never smoker in her life, nothing, and that just caused a ripple effect, right? Well, there is so much that goes into, treating that, or, doctor's visits, all of that stuff. It just wasn't viable for her to live so far away from either of us. And so, my brother and I suggested that she come out here and live with me as we kind of navigate this journey. And within a week from the emergency room, our lives were totally turned upside down, and she had moved into our guest room, and we got her set up. So it's, everything from accommodating how she's going to fly. I mean, getting her across the country to come out here and live with us, explaining to my 11-year-old child at the time that this is a major transition in our lives, right? Things are going to be different because we have to help take care of Nanny as she's going through this, finding doctors in Colorado, getting an appointment to, you know how long it takes to get a doctor's appointment, y'all.
Yes.
Yes.
This is not something we can wait for. I needed this is critical. Getting her into doctors. And then even y'all trying to, with lung cancer, she's having a hard time breathing, which means it's a hard time walking. We had to go find a primary care physician to prescribe a wheelchair for her to get her to and from. And, you're like,
to prescribe a wheelchair?
Yes. The system, navigating the systems are so complicated. We don't realize how much is going on. And it was not something that she had the capability of handling. So we're finding new doctors. We're trying to figure out how to get the equipment and the things that she needs. We're trying to, make sure she is eating well and just, feeling comfortable in this environment. And it was a full-time job. It was 40 hours a week while I'm working, while I'm a wife, while I'm a mother, while she had a dog. Your dog's running around in the background. Her dog came to live with us. Now I've got I have a pet pack. I've got this pack of animals that follow me around everywhere I go. I mean, there's just so much we don't think about. I had to get her healthcare power of attorney. We had to sell her home, as you said, back in Charlotte. all of this because your money is tied up sometimes in your home, and it is just, I don't even know what else to say. I'm sure, Nadine, you got a lot, but and then visitors wanting to come and see her. So now you have people that, of course, we want them to do that.
Yes.
But, people coming to my home and traveling from across the country to come stay with her, and communicating with her friends about what's going on when she got to the point where she wasn't able to do that. I think, all things that I would never say no to. And frankly, the time that we spent together is invaluable. I just feel so blessed that I got to be with her during that time and share some great memories and experiences and ask questions that I'd never asked before of like, where did this come from? Why is this? But it's hard. It's just so much to
it's a lot
emotionally, physically, mentally to carry. So she passed away in February. And I was there with her, and it was a blessing and a difficult time. So.
Yeah. It's bittersweet because she's out of her pain, but it's bitter because it's your mom and she's no longer here.
Yeah, and now as y'all, I said I was 51 when we started. Like I am the elder in the family, which is kind of weird too, right? Like thinking about that.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Right? Like and going from being a daughter to being in charge of what's happening, and like almost parenting your parent without taking away that amazing responsibility and role that she had for me. It's kind of hard to build those relationships too.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so difficult. Nadine, share your story.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Sarah, for that.
Yes, thank you.
Because you still are in the season of grief with the loss of your mom, especially with the holidays upon us. So my heart goes out to you and to every caregiver that is traveling this journey, and especially in the grief stage at this point. So, just like you, Barb, living my best life and things are cracking and it's all good. I'm in California. I'm living in California, and the phone rings and the doctor says it's a pituitary brain tumor. A brain tumor, okay? And my mom had white coat syndrome. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's doctors used to wear the white coat. And when a lot of people, especially elders, when they walk into a doctor's office and they see that white coat and the doctor's already told them something serious is going on, they just kind of zone out. They don't hear the doctor. So that meant I had to immediately become her eyes and ears, because I had to explain to her what she couldn't hear from the doctor. And of course, we're talking about tumor, and we're talking about the all of the risk associated with a brain tumor. And so, oh my gosh, this was 30 years ago that this happened. My mother was 57. She was 57, and
she was only 57. I'm 59. How? What's your what are your ages? You too?
I'm 65. I'll be 65 in May.
Yeah, and I'm 51. And honestly, I didn't have a caregiving journey, but my father passed away at 52, right?
Right.
So young, so young.
Exactly.
And mine was 49 when he died.
Right. And so and I just lost my dad in May of this year. He was 95. So I've got these two ends of the spectrum, where my mom, who, before she's 60, she's diagnosed with this brain tumor, and ultimately she lives, and she was 71 when she passed away, and she passed away from stage 4 breast cancer. So we dealt with so much over the course of that almost 15-year period that I knew that there was something more to this. My mom was like an angel. Everybody loved her. And it's like, why is she going through so much? Why is this happening to her? And you can't ask why. You just have to ask, what is it for me to learn? What am I supposed to become as a result of this experience that we're going through? And for me, I came to understand that this was certainly bigger than me and my mom. My mom's been gone almost 20 years, and I still get to talk about her every day because of the work that I get to do as a result of that journey that I did not want to travel. you know,
Yeah.
so we
Yeah.
can resist what's happening day in and day out. But once we finally lean into the understanding that this is happening for a reason, let me understand how I am supposed to change and grow as a result of this experience. I need to become more patient. I need to be more observant. I need to be more present.
Yeah.
Right. And I encourage
Yeah.
daughters, especially. A lot of times I find that the caregiving journey forces us into that parenting the parent mentality. And I ask you to resist that and to embrace the fact that the thing that your loved one needs most from you is your relationship.
Yeah.
Daughter
Oh,
to
so
mother,
good.
right?
Wow.
Husband, wife, granddaughter to grandmother, grandfather. It's that relationship that is most precious, and that is what's most needed. But for those of us accustomed to being large and in charge, we usually move into the mode of, I'm taking care of business. I am handling what needs to be done. I am your advocate. I am your caregiver. I am your rock in your support system.
Your financial planner,
I am your
your
financial planner.
everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm your
Right.
spiritual advisor. I am
Yeah.
everything that you need. But remember that the thing that they most need, and they may never articulate this to you, is that they need you to be present, and they need you to be that daughter, that sister, whatever that relationship is. They need that more than anything else.
Yeah, you really
Wow.
hit a chord there when you were talking about being patient and present, because I would catch myself just getting the task done. We just got to get it done, right?
Exactly.
And not stopping and just sitting down and talking to my mom and
Yes.
sharing what's been going on with me. What am I dealing with, right?
Right.
Really important. So important.
Yes.
And I actually found myself getting testy.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So because your patience, and I wrote down the word, because you like to think you're a patient person, and you're ready to, and you can handle these kinds of things as a full-fledged adult. But I found myself at times having to stop, because at first, as you were saying to Sarah, she's in her season of grief. My season of grief, it was like, wow.
Yeah.
And so I found myself getting testy sometimes, because in my head, and I think I did it, and I would get testy with my mom, because I was used to seeing my mom strong. And it was difficult for me mentally to see my mom as the person who needs me more than, it was very challenging mentally. And Sarah, you mentioned the mental part. So what do you where do you think are the gaps? If we're talking about the gaps and why caregiving still feels so heavy, in the next 2 to 5 minutes, let's talk about maybe where are some of the biggest gaps between caregiving, our needs, and what is actually available in Colorado to us.
Yeah. I will just say, I think often one of the things caregivers talk about is the need of time. And by that, I think they're generally meaning, I'm juggling all of these things, and I'm working a full-time job, I'm caring for this loved one. And respite care, or time away for a caregiver, is so important. And figuring out whether it's an hour, whether it's 5 minutes, whether it's a day. I struggled with, well, who's going to do all of these things? Who's going to help, right? How do we find that time to support, so how can we all support caregivers with the gift of time? How can a friend come over and just sit there for an hour while I go take a walk, or, bring me a cup of coffee and have a chat for 15 minutes. Sometimes you're like, this is the only thing this is all consuming, right? The only thing I'm focused on is the caregiver. And so just having a short break is so valuable, and I think in need.
Yeah, that's a good, that was a good answer. Nadine, do you see anything as well?
Of course. Of course, I see self-sacrifice all too often, where caregivers are sacrificing themselves and feeling like they can't make themselves a priority. And if you're those who are listening, if they don't hear anything else, understand that caregiving means self-care first and foremost.
Mhm.
You have to take care of yourself. You have to make you a priority in order for you to be equipped to take care of all of the things that you have to take care of as a caregiver. When people ask me, why do you continue to do this work? How do you continue to do this work? My why is because I want to see caregivers survive the journey. I want to see them thrive. I want them to live their best life and become their best self as a result of the caregiving journey, as opposed to literally dying on the vine because they give so much and don't take care of themselves.
Yeah.
Don't take respite, and don't ask for help. Too many
Yeah.
caregivers are afraid to ask for help because they feel like they're supposed to be self-sufficient. They're accustomed to being self-sufficient. I can figure this out. I can do this by myself.
Yep.
And caregiving, just like it takes a village to raise a child, we understand that. It takes a village to take care of somebody else. It really does.
It sure does. And you put that on top of somebody like me, a solo ager who's never taken care of a child outside of being a babysitter back in the day.
Yeah.
It's a whole new thing, you know.
Yes.
Okay. I also see where siblings need to find a way to work together.
Oh, yes.
Because I hear all too often from others. And it's not as if it was roses and rainbows with my brother and I, because we needed to figure things out between the two of us. How he was the financial, I'm the health. And then the health seems to be even heavier now. And so I was like, Keith, you got to help me, you know? So and he did, he stepped up, but it's still, it was, we had some difficulties. We had some difficulties with each other.
Absolutely.
And so, and also I'm like his little sister, you know, and he was used to being, you know, he's older. And so he was, regardless, what Keith and I have, and we have a great relationship. It's actually made our relationship stronger, oddly enough. This whole thing. But what I hear from others is this doesn't happen. You have siblings that don't want to give a damn about helping their parent, even though their parent bore them at some point. And like you have, or they're arguing about things, or they're, you know, the money when there's a passing, there's a lot. So I think, you know, I say, even if you can maybe now, before anything happens or during this journey, let's give each other a break and let's learn to work with siblings need to learn to work with one another. Absolutely. And not put it on one sibling for everything. Because I have another friend where she's got 4 siblings and everything is on her, even the financial burden.
That's very typical, Barbara. Very, very typical. The family dynamics that you have through growing up typically are the family dynamics that are exacerbated when you enter the caregiving journey. So oftentimes the caregiving experience does not make things better. I'm glad to hear you say that your relationship with your brother is better. I'm actually a certified mediator, so I mediate family discussions because I was one of 6, and I felt oftentimes like I was an only child, and there were 2 siblings that I could count on all the time, right? But it really is. It's a dynamic. I had to come to understand that this is indeed my assignment. This is my mother, and it was my assignment because I needed to go through all of the things that I went through in order to be in a position to do the work that I do now. But it's hard, it's tough, but family is important, and everybody has to figure out, what is it that you're going to bring to the table? How am I going to support this effort? Or am I going on record saying I am not going to support this? And, you know, then you have to deal with the consequences afterwards, because regret is a tough pill. It's a tough pill to swallow, right?
Regret is huge. When it comes to the needs that, some things where, okay, let's talk about the needs that need to change, what caregivers, here, let me just rephrase this. What can caregivers do today, and or those that may be a caregiver today? Are there tools? Are there resources? Sarah, what is AARP's? You said this is one of your 3 top initiatives for AARP. And is that the state initiative, top 3, or is that a national
Both,
care?
actually, both. Yeah. Well, first, from resource perspective, I would encourage anyone to go to aarp.org/caregiving. And there is just an abundance of resources. But one of the things I think is really important to look at is a booklet or booklet that's called Prepare to Care, right? And it helps you figure out, what kind of, it helps that ask the questions about financial responsibilities, legal responsibilities, is the home fit for the journey, depending on what you're doing. It's just a good guide to help as you're starting to navigate some of these things, because to your point, if we aren't prepared, we deny. My mom was not gonna, come live with one of us. She was healthy, she was active, she didn't want to do that. And the more that we can have some of those conversations in advance and work through that, the easier that transition is going to be. But in terms of some national things that we're working on a caregiver tax credit at the federal level,
Oh,
so
wow.
that maybe you get a little bit more money back in your pocket. We are putting out there is a financial cost to
Absolutely.
caregiving, right?
Mhm.
And so how can we help with that? Oh, there you go. You got it. Also, I would highlight, if you're in Colorado, the state of Colorado has come out with it's called family. So it's paid medical leave, paid family medical leave. And you can use caregiving as one of the reasons that you are participating in the family FAMLI plan. That passed in Colorado a few years ago and just was started to be implemented last year. So if you need some time, and the other good thing about the family plan is that you don't have to take it all at once, right? Maybe there's an incident and you need to take it for a few days and then you can go back to work. But that's a really valuable resource that we have here in Colorado that every caregiver should know about.
Absolutely.
And then the last thing I would just say is, thinking about where there is support, like from Nadine, where can you develop a support structure so that you aren't alone, that you have people to talk to, that you have an outlet, right? Those are important things to prepare for as you're thinking about a caregiving journey, from my perspective.
I love that. Lots of great resources. And, one of the things that you mentioned, I didn't know, and here I am in a pro ager and like to think I'm familiar with a lot of different things to share with my community of women. And I had no clue about that caregiver credit or getting paid to be a caregiver, because when you're a business owner, and you are trying to, and your business is based on you doing, there's no paycheck coming in unless you're working. It can be very difficult to try to do both. And so had I known, and other people I know, who knows now, about the family caregiving, what is it called again?
So it's a paid family medical leave, right? So
Yeah.
the abbreviation that they go by in Colorado is family, FAMLI.
Yes.
It's not going to pay your full salary, but it will
Right.
apply to caregivers, and you can take time away from your job and get some compensation from the state at the same time. So.
And a lot of entrepreneurs don't know that they're also paying into it, into those things. Because I know some that have used that for disability when they were diagnosed with a disability and they took the time away.
That's right.
Nadine, do you have some tools and resources besides your company as well? I'm assuming.
Absolutely. So dementia is the comorbidity that tends to accompany almost any illness when you're dealing with an aging parent. And I really want people to know that the Alzheimer's Association in the state of Colorado, no matter where you may be listening from, in your city, the Alzheimer's Association is an incredible free resource that is available to you. There are over 130 different types of dementia, Alzheimer's being the primary one. Yes, people don't know that Parkinson's disease is a form of dementia, right? Lewy body, a form of dementia, right? And so there's so many amazing resources that are available, including a 24/7 hotline if you're dealing with a loved one who has been diagnosed with any form of dementia. I didn't know until after my mom was gone that the Parkinson's that she had been diagnosed with was a form of dementia. That was a resource that would have been available to me that I sort of left on the table because I didn't think it applied to me, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
the most important resource, besides the services that we offer through the Caregiver's Guardian at tcgcares.com, that I refer clients to, because it is a 24/7 free informational workshop. In addition to that, support groups are a major help. Because I was so quote unquote young when I started this journey, I really dismissed the idea of support.
Yeah.
And I later found, it was like later in my journey, I was like, well, maybe this will be beneficial. And then I found out, oh my gosh, this is my tribe. These are my people. They understand. They can look at me and know that I'm not okay, right? And they can know what to say and know how to support me and encourage me. Whereas other people who I love, who have not traveled the journey, they don't have a clue. They don't know what to do. They don't know what to say. They don't know how to support me. But you participate in the support group. And in Colorado, we have over 100 different support groups for caregivers that are available. And so I just encourage caregivers to be willing to reach out, be willing to ask for help, and be willing to receive help. And also sometimes you gotta demand help, right? Depending upon the systems that you're dealing with.
You sure do.
Say, this is what I need, and I'm not taking no for an answer, or that no will be the answer, and I'm coming back until you say yes.
So much good information. My brain is racing with so much. And when you mentioned the dementia and how many there are, I didn't realize my mom was diagnosed with vascular dementia.
Yes.
And it was a direct result from the stroke. And I had never heard of that. Absolutely. And we're not telling her that she has it, because she still has her memory of about 75, 80%. So we're letting Bobby Brooks be Bobby Brooks, and she doesn't need to know.
Hey, Barbara, there's 1,032,000 caregivers in Colorado right now. I mean, that is 1,032,000 people who identify as caregivers in the state of Colorado right now. That's about between 1 in 4 and 1 in 5 of us are active caregivers. So it's everybody, right?
It's everybody.
There are caregivers sitting right here in your yard.
Wow.
Yes.
It is everybody. Okay, as we come to a close, are there any closing thoughts before I give my closing thoughts? Anything that we may have left out, anything that you want to share? Oh, and by the way, side note, when you were talking about support, when we were talking about support, I have to admit, there are times where I don't want people to ask how my mom is doing, because it's a trigger for me.
Okay.
Because depending on where I am that day and mentally, or how things are, or maybe even what I've had to deal with in the week, at work or with my mother or whatever it may be, I don't want to talk about. I don't want to talk about it all the time. I just don't.
You shouldn't.
And my mom wouldn't want me to have to talk about it all the time, if I may be frank.
So the question isn't, how's your mom doing? The question from everybody who cares about you should be, how are you doing?
Yes. Yeah.
How is Barbara doing? Right? Yeah. And that's something, when I say open your eyes and see what's around, be present, right?
Yeah.
If there are always a handful of people in your life who are caregiving. When's the last time you picked up the phone, not sent a text, but picked up the phone to check in on them, just to say, I wanted to hear your voice. How are you doing? Right?
Yes. I love that. Yeah, good point. I had to bring that up because I like to be very honest. And what are some closing thoughts that you might have in 45 seconds or less, each one of you, 45 seconds or less?
Oh, I would just say, to your point, there are caregivers everywhere. They're in our lives, and we need to think about how we can support them as the caregiver, so that they can support their loved one. And I think that's just the most important thing we can do to keep this beautiful journey that people are going on. Difficult, but really valuable. So let's think about how we can support those caregivers.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Yeah, she still speaks my language. So, Barbara, thank you for this discussion. My parting thought is this is a conversation we need to be having all the time. If this podcast was 5 or 6 hours long, we would be able to fill it like that, right? And then some, right? So it's a conversation that's necessary, and it's a conversation that we all should become more receptive to having, because sooner or later we are all caregivers, sooner or later.
It's Rosalind Carter used to say, you have been a caregiver, you are a caregiver, you're going to be a caregiver, or you're going to receive care.
You're going to need a caregiver. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Only 4 kinds of people in the world is what she says.
Yeah,
absolutely,
right.
Sarah. Yes. And
I so appreciate the two of you coming on today to talk about this very important and that the idea that 1.42 million people in Colorado alone are caregivers is something that says we need to continue these conversations. And if I may say, my closing thoughts are caregiving is love, it's responsibility, it's exhaustion. It's all of that. It's strength. It's support in one another. And it's all of that sort of woven together. And it's heavy. And it shouldn't be carried alone or in silence. We have to continue to have these kinds of conversations, because the more that we make space for the support, the more we keep this at the forefront of conversation, so that maybe we all take this a little bit more serious, unlike me and several others who will sit in the room and listen to people like Nadine or listen to people like Sarah or others and share their journey and think it'll never happen to me. It can, and hopefully, God willing, it will not, but you also might be the one who needs a caregiver. So if you are a caregiver or you know someone who is, listen to these ladies, pick up the phone, go ahead and ask someone how they are doing. Check in on those also, because of the mental toll that it brings. Right. But if you want to learn more about this journey and about caregiving, certainly look up AARP. AARP has not just AARP, as you've learned today, as a national, but every state has someone like Sarah at the helm, with plenty of amazing humans that are also leading this fight, but also, right, Sarah, talking about not just caregiving, but about all the other things that comes with this time in life over 50. And so explore Nadine's organization, explore AARP and the resources that she said that they have that I pulled up. And also, if I may be so bold to say, is please make sure you have your own next of kin box prepared. Because while Keith and I were a little bit prepared because we had the will done, we certainly didn't have the power of attorney that Nadine mentioned earlier about your power of, and Sarah, right? We didn't have certain things in one place. So I say this is actually a Colorado company. I've seen them on Good Morning America. I learned about them on CBS Sunday Morning years ago. I say have your own next of kin box prepared for yourself and also for the ones that you were living. So I want to say thank you for being my house guest today, Nadine and Sarah.
Thanks for having us over, Barbara. We love you.
I love it. This is great. I'll come to your house anytime.
Exactly.
I love it. Woo! Next time it'll be over wine.
Sounds good.
But thank you, too, for coming. Thank you for watching. And we will see you every Thursday morning at 9 a.m. live right here in the House of Middlescence. Take care, everyone. Have a great rest of the week.